CNN, along with honestly other outlets like AP and Fox News, jumped the gun again. This was in the case of the Boston bombings. Now look, here's the problem. They're on TV the whole time. They got to say something. They're dying to break a story so they can say, we're the most trusted name in news. We got it first.
Essentially told we have one person in focus. That's our focus right now. We're going to try to apprehend that suspect that they did concede. They had clearly identified. We are now told an arrest has been made.
I shouldn't say this on TV, but this is a good time when TV unfolds way maybe faster. So there is a difference between the identification, which everyone can confirm now, right? Everyone is saying it. So this may look very different in about an hour if we learn that there has been no arrest.
Right. I have actually 3 separate sources, but 2 that are very highly placed and close to the investigation that have just told me that there has been no arrest, and in fact, a suspect has not been identified by name yet, that they have, they're looking for someone, but they don't have anybody in custody yet, and they don't have an identification.
CNN's need for immediate coverage meant that rumors and speculation crept into their footage. Correspondents allowed bias to shape their reports. Many times during the first hour of coverage, they were forced to take back previous statements or question their sources. At one point, they even admitted that they should not be reporting, yet they continued to do so.
Does this, obviously, we don't want to speculate, we don't know what this was, but is there reason for people who deal in counterterrorism to think that this is an act of terrorism?
So, if it is a device of some kind, you know, we should leap to conclusions about where it's coming from in terms of a political persuasion. And
the primacy effect is a psychological principle that means the things you hear first influence you most. Viewer bias caused by CNN's misreports could interfere with belief in later, more accurate reports.
Fox News has been primarily identified by viewers as a conservative news station and is noted for promoting biased reporting.
If they said, we fear the Russians, they are admitting, in effect, they were part of the Chechen resistance. And that's a pretty good place to start to look about their ties to radical Islam.
Fox News' coverage on the Boston bombing was considered to be quite negotiable due to the speculations that the 2 suspects had ties to Islamic terrorism.
On Fox News the other day, New York Congressman Peter King said, if you know a threat is coming from a certain community, that's where you have to look. Proceed with caution here, Mr. King. And first take a look at that Council on Foreign Relations analysis of an FBI study showing that from 1980 to 2001, around 2/3 of domestic terrorism was carried out by American extremists who were not Muslims. That number actually skyrocketed to 95% in the years immediately after 9/11.
Some of the reporting is factual information, where the other half of it is filling in the blanks with what a conservative-driven person would want to hear.
And whether they were sent here, even at a very tender age, to pose the possibility of terrorist activity in this country. You know, the conventional wisdom, which seems to form pretty quickly in these kinds of events, has it they were radicalized here in the United States, and that's certainly possible. But it's just as possible they were sent here by their handlers. You know, if you're prepared to kill small children, you're certainly prepared to use small children as killers.
I know that even if you don't use Twitter, you've definitely heard of it. When the Boston Marathon bombing occurred, people jumped to their Twitter sites to post their eyewitness testimony and the things that they and their families had heard. Now, while the reporting speed of that was comforting to a lot of people who weren't there or who hadn't seen anything on the news yet, the accuracy wasn't the greatest. The problem with something like Twitter is that there's no filter to tell you what's fake, what's real, what's been exaggerated. And so you're just left to guessing what might be true. Or worse, you're swayed into believing something is true because it's been retweeted 10,000 times. This caused a lot of confusion in the aftermath of the Boston Marathon between police officers who were trying to get information out via Twitter, people who were just posting to get noticed, and people who really did need accurate information to stay safe.
Most people know Reddit is a source of entertainment and funny pictures. This was not the case during the Boston bombings. Many Redditors took it upon themselves to investigate who the suspect was. Unfortunately, they were completely wrong. When police released photos of the suspects for the Boston bombings, Redditors misidentified the person as Sunil Tripathi, a missing Brown University student. Unfortunately, he was found dead not long afterwards, after this information had already gone viral and people thought that he was the one who was to blame. This hurt his family very deeply, and a lot of misinformation was present.
Any final thoughts?
Being in Watertown right now, the streets are empty. It's eerie. It's as though a bomb had dropped somewhere.
Yes, it does seem like that sometimes.